Yo, what is up guys? In this video, I'm going to take you through how to win every game in the solo cash cup to allow you to qualify through to the finals and then make your first earnings. I'm going to be breaking down a game from a top EU player this week that made it through to the finals to show you step by step what you need to do to win games within the solo cash cup. If this video does help you out, please do drop a like and subscribe as I'm trying to hit 30,000 subscribers before my birthday, which is June 5th. Let's get straight on into today's video. Okay, so we're going to be looking at an 8-kill fourth by a player called in the kitchen. Now, this is his last game of opens where he clutched up a big 63-point game in order to qualify through to the finals. I'm going to show you the strategy and step by step exactly how he gets to endgame and how he plays this game to get enough points, which then led to him qualifying through in 401st position to the solo cash cup finals. So let's get straight into breaking down this game. Okay, so starting off spawn, Yog lands at this little house complex to the west of the gas station in the center of the map. Now, the reason why he does this is because it allows him to rotate quickly through the house and build up a generic loadout before then rotating to getting fast farming mats at these quick trees before the train rotates in. As you guys can see, the railway track, the train starts around the west side of Crime City and then rotates up right into the path of where Yog is located. Now, just 2 minutes after landing in, Yog is already looking at taking control of the train. Now, he throws down thermite in order to begin breaking into the vault, and notice how he already has 500 mats to deal with any player that could have landed on the train, so he would be able to fight them. And within just around 30 seconds of being on the train, you guys will see that he breaks in and gets the loot using the thermite. Now, in here, this allows him to get 2 drill bits and legendary chests, and most importantly, he gets the mythic pump shotgun, as you guys will see. Once he gets the mythic pump, you can see that within just 3 minutes of being in this game, look at the loot that Yog has. And bear in mind, he also has 2 drill bits and he has 7,500 mats. Now, Yog is pretty fortunate in this game that he doesn't have to fight anyone for train and that no one landed on train originally. But the thing is with where he drops is that he already has stacked mats to key the player that's on train, even if they land there straight off spawn. Now, what I want you guys to note about how Yog plays this as well is that notice how he boxes himself up in order to shoot at the bot. So even if you are coming in and looking to third party this fight, Yog is protected in a box so that there's limited stuff you can do. It's not like you can just start off the engagement and get a free beam onto him, because he's protected himself, so he's able to get the medallion from a completely safe position. Now, it's at this point that Yog runs into his first player of the game, but I want you to note exactly what he does within this fight. He immediately looks to aggress and get P's control onto Bob, but when he is unable to get an easy tag, notice how Bob then slows down the fight and looks to box up and create space. This is what you should do as a defensive player. Now, Yog, being smart, realizing that he has mats, has full shield, and has god loot, realizes he doesn't need to push this fight. So notice how he tactically decides that this fight is not worth taking and just simply disengages away. This is 100% the smart play, especially when you have stacked off spawn loot like he does, as now he's out of the fight. For the next 3 minutes, Yog just rotated through the mid game, but notice how there is 79 players up and we're in the second zone. Yog knows that this is likely to go to a storm surge game, so he knows that he needs to deal some damage. Now, using the bat and the medallion, he runs up onto Sasu's box right here. This is a very, very confident play, but all he's trying to do in this scenario is not actually get the kill, but simply get 1 big pump's worth of shotgun damage in order to cover him for early storm surge, as he hasn't been able to find that many AR tags off of spawn. Now, he plays this pretty slow in wood, but what he does here is really smart. He proceeds to pull out the bat a lot in this fight and use a lot of fast jumps using the bat, like you saw right there, and it allows him to get an instant tag. Then again, he uses the bat to jump out the side, a lovely little side jump play. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work, but then again, we see a third use of the bat to side jump up, and he does this loads throughout this entire fight. And obviously, with the medallion, it allows him to have really fast movement speed, so he can keep up with Sasu and eventually drops himself on his head and secures a really nice kill. Now, not only does that get him 555 with a chug and also some gold splashes, which is obviously insane, but it sorts out his storm surge damage for at least the next few zones. A really smart push here from Yog. So for around 4 minutes here, Yog just sits in this base and simply looks for AR tags just to increase and keep himself above the storm surge threshold. But notice that the second the 4th zone pulls, he immediately uses the medallion and pulls out the bat in order to rotate instantly. Now, this is a theme which we will see throughout the game and as you guys watch the rest of this video, but he immediately looks to rotate. Now, the reason why is because his original base was positioned right here, and if he stayed right here, all these players here from congested side of zone will have to rotate into the position where Yog's base would be, meaning it would then cause him to be on congested side. So even though he pulls zone up here, he rotates early to get a little bit deeper deeper into zone to ensure that he doesn't get stuck on congested side in just a few minutes time. It's this next play though that actually shocks me the most. Yogg originally looked to rotate further and deeper into zone, but he seems to change his mind and looks to key this player who's on height in the Storm Surge base. If I speed this up, you'll see that he pulls out the ramp and just immediately goes to rush the player. Now I do know that he has the bat and the medallion, so he can use his increased movement speed. Unfortunately, replay does lag, but it allows him to just completely and utterly take height over this player and take control of his base. Now controller does end up dropping down, meaning that Yogg now has just got complete height completely for free. But what actually was the advantage of this push? Well, now once he finishes and ends up in this position up on height, you guys that will see he has sightlines onto all the players that are going to be rotating in onto congested side. From this position, he can then look at all these players which are going to be rotating in just a minute's time, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So here we go. He hasn't moved for another minute and a half, but what's happened is all the other players from congested side have rotated in, and look at the advantageous position which Yogg now sits in. If we have a look at all the players which he has sightlines to, and if we especially open up the map, we can see so many players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, around like genuinely like 20 players which he has sightlines onto just from sitting in this base right here. And this is why he took this position, because it gives him high ground where he can look and get AR tags onto all these players coming in, helping him stay above the Storm Surge threshold. Such a genius play by Yogg. But what I next want you guys to know is that the second the 5th zone pulls, look what he does again. He pulls out the bat and goes to rotate immediately. This is the strategy which he uses throughout this entire game. Every time zone pulls, he looks to go instantly because he has the bat and he has the medallion. Notice as well how on the rotate, he doesn't look or focus on anyone else. He simply rotates as far as he can. But this right here is a really smart play. Instead of sticking for the rotate and trying to go as deep as he can, he pauses and staggers. Now the reason for this is just to wait for other people to catch up and also give himself a moment to assess what's in front of him. As you guys can see him doing here, he's assessing the bush, making sure no one's in there so that he can ensure he has another safe rotate further into zone. And it's little decisions like this that mean he takes less and less damage on his rotates. Notice how yet he hasn't taken any damage. Now if we stick with him on this rotate, apologies for the replay lag, that is out of my control, we will see that he continues to go deeper and deeper and deeper before choosing to box up right here next to a player deep into zone. And if we look at his position, he's now relocated here in the center of the 5th zone instead of being stuck up on the congested side where he was previously with all these players rotating in. This is the player which Yogg took height over, and that is controller, and look at where he is positioned relative to where Yogg is positioned. These smart rotates are really what makes him as a player. Now once the 6th zone pops, Yogg does not pull, and actually he pulls quite far away from zone, and this zone is actually pretty good for players on congested side. But what he does is he pops a gold splash, pulls out the bat, and immediately looks to rotate into zone. He does look for some Storm Surge tags there, unfortunately is unsuccessful, but he immediately looks to rotate early. Now, what I like about his positioning right here is that he actually plays aggressive onto Terrax. Now, the reason for this is because, one, he's looking for extra Storm Surge damage, but also, look at his materials. They're starting to dwindle. He's stuck with only 500 metal. Now, whilst this is still good, you want to start looking for a refresh when you have around 500 mats left, instead of when you have around 200 or 100 mats left, because it just allows you more time to get this refresh, and you'll see exactly how this works. And this is exactly how it works. Now, because he's positioned on congested side right here in between so many players, there's so much noise pollution, and even though most people these days are using visualized sound effects, you just can't tell where some people are in endgame. He perfectly patiently waits for the opportunity to break in onto this unsuspecting player, and when he's shooting and focused on other things, Yogg takes the opportunity to swing his pickaxe and break through, as you guys will see. Now, this allows him to instantly get a cheap shot onto Cheetah when he wasn't really expecting it, cracking him, meaning he's so low that Yogg can use the momentum phase, and again, I have shown this in my videos, you need to learn how to do it, to just jump in and pick up a free refresh. Now, at the time of him getting this kills, he has 400 mats, which is still good. It's not completely shambles, but this is the perfect time to jump in and get a free kill, because now look at how much of a refresh he's just got. He's up to 1,000, like over 1,000 mats, and he can use these builds to now rotate what is a max zone pull for Yogg. Now, in order to rotate this max pull, he does what we've seen him do previously. Pops the gold splash, holds out the bat, and immediately looks to sprint across this rotate. Now again, the bat gives you increased jump speed, the medallion gives him quicker sprint speed, and so does the gold splash, so look at how fast he can rotate through this zone. Notice as well how he doesn't focus on any other players, he solely focuses on the rotate, and he's doing this entire rotate before Storm has even started coming in. There's still 10 seconds before Storm starts coming in, but now he's already further than all these people on the rotate. He was down here, he's now got ahead of all these people and staggers once he gets hit. The reason for this is just to allow him to heal up, as you guys can see, before he then continues on with his rotate. Once the zone begins to come in, he's in front of all these people behind him because he's already done half the rotate, and he simply does the second half of the rotate, again focusing on just the rotate instead of looking at other players. This is a massive tip for you guys, and I would 100% recommend that you do this as well. And look, he goes deeper into the 7th zone. He doesn't sit on the edge, he goes deeper into the 7th zone. One of the deepest players within the game, and I'll give you guys a tip. Joshua Kimmich, also one of the deepest players in the zone here. He's the player that goes on to win this game. So you can see where these players that position smart, how they end up getting on. It's often the players that position really smart that end up doing really well in the game, and there's obviously truth to it. So now we're in 7th zone, and the zone is about to pull in just 1 second. Now I want you guys to ask yourself, what do you think he does the second the zone pulls? The zone pulls, he sees he's not in it, what do you think he's going to do? It's pretty much the banker, isn't it? He pulls out the baseball bat and sprints all the way straight into the zone. Now, because everyone is stuck in congested side and the zone is pulled to the north, and he didn't sit so far on congested side because he rotated into the zone a little bit, he has a straight free rotate deep into this zone. He doesn't even get shot once. He goes through the old builds just to make sure he's protected as much as he can be before finishing off the rotate. And look at this. He's now on the edge of zone. Yes, he tanked a little bit of Storm, but it's not that deep. He's now in a perfect position. He's completed this entire rotate for completely free and can now sit here and look back at all the players that have got to rotate in from congested side in order to pick up a few elims. Now, as he's moving through the 8th zone, he's not yet shambles. He still has 400 mats, but he's starting to run out. And we saw him already go for this refresh earlier on in the game when he was on the same materials, and that's exactly what he looks to do here. It seems to be that every time he gets to around 400, 500 mats left, he looks to aggress onto a player to secure the mats to get deeper into this game. Now, I'm going to let this play out and show you exactly how he picks up this refresh. It is a bit of a scrappy kill. The player unfortunately gets trapped up here, but Yogg is able to pick up this kill, and again that doubles his mat tally right there, which he then quickly drops back and looks to re-heal up using the chug jug. So it's a really smart play, and it just allows him to again boost up his mats. So every time he gets low, he gets another refresh to boost up his mats, but he never lets his mats get low enough before getting a refresh, if that makes sense. And again, as the 9th zone pulls, we pull out the bat, we use the medallion like we've been doing all game, and we straight rotate to the front side of zone. Now, he does really aggro onto this player right here. I think he really wanted this refresh, and after getting the nice tag, I don't blame him for pushing up onto this player. He just tries to keep constant pressure onto him and keeps phasing up through his builds. Just a little tip there, if you run up a ramp, you're always going to phase through the floor, even if someone's holding it, and you can use that to get into someone's box. Again, this allows him to get an extra refresh, and now he's got 84 builds remaining with a chug, pretty much full help, and there is 17 players left in the game. Now, this player does immediately get the roof on top of him, but he's able to take control of that and then looks to break out of this box in order to create more space, allowing him to get away from Mapic right here, and he uses the ramp just as an extra layer of protection. A really smart play. Now, you guessed it, the same strategy we've seen all game, pulls out the bat and goes to look to rotate to the front side of zone before sitting there again. Now, if you have watched the strategy video on the solo cash cup I uploaded on my channel a few weeks ago, you will know that this is the exact same strategy that Lupo used, and it's clearly a strategy that everyone is using to get through endgames this season. Simply use the bat to rotate, then get to the front side of the zone, stagger and sit in your base until the storm catches up to you, and then look to rotate again. This is what he does. Notice how Yogg here is sat in his base, sat in his base, sat in his base, waiting for the storm to catch him up this whole time, still sat in his base, not moving, not looking for any picks, and then as the storm catches him up, that's when he looks to rotate, and he does a really nice rotate here, wrapping around the left-hand side of zone, and getting a nice bit of damage onto Kimmich right there, and then looking to W key and sit in his box. But again, we can note that he then staggers and waits for the zone to catch up, and this is the same strategy that he's doing. I'm going to let it play out from here. He just proceeds to sit in his box until the storm gets on his back. Once the storm gets on his back, I mean, he picks up a nice refresh because that falls to him. Once the storm gets on his back, he then uses the bat to get deeper into zone once again. Now, as I let the remainder of this endgame play out, I want you guys to know that he also stays on a high layer right here and stays away from the backside of zone because it allows him to just look back at other players and try and pick up free refreshes and kills like you can see him trying to do right here. The key takeaway of this game is that I know there's been a lot of information that I've told you guys, but the key takeaways that he does is he simply staggers in endgame, he sits and waits for the storm to catch him up before rotating to the front side, and also in these zones coming up to endgame, he always rotates early because it allows him to get in deeper into the zone where he can then look back on players rotating in, like he's doing right here on Falcon Peterbot, where he picks up the elim like that. He picks up another elim, albeit that one's a little scrappy, on the backside of zone, before again rotating to the front side of zone, where he heals up and then looks to look back on players. In this situation, he now only has 2 builds, but there's only 4 players left apart from him, so he's already done his job. He's already got deep into this game, and he's already got the placement from the game, that top 5 placement that is so crucial. Once he picks up this kill right here on Milo, I would have liked to have seen him edit out to his left and block off this fight. Instead, he doesn't. He gets stuck in this fight deep in zone, and he tries to target this player. Probably not the best play, but he does only have 1 build at this situation in time. Unfortunately, he gets 1 pumped in the backside of zone, but hey, he's got a 4th place in that game with 8 kills, 63 points, and it qualified through him to the finals. I really hope this video does help you out. If it did, please do drop a like and subscribe, and click this video on screen to learn about another solo cash cup strategy which people are using to qualify through to the finals. Peace out from me.